Minister, look, I'm truly shocked that you persist with this draconian measures, and you see the rising opposition, and thankfully in the House as well, people have woken up to see what's going on. The power grab. The government has consistently and deliberately stoked fear over the coronavirus while behaving like an authoritarian regime, relying on police state tactics. The government is handing of the COVID has resulted in the state of exercising coercive powers over citizens on a scale never previously attempted. The ease at which people could be terrorised into surrendering basic freedoms which are fundamental to our existence is truly shocking. And now the government wants to hold on to these powers for potentially up to another 8 months. Liberty is a word much hawked around in recent years by both bullies and liberals. But personal liberty is a fundamental right. We agreed to let governments walk all over the threshold as a temporary measure, a wartime measure really. Once the war is over, let's make sure that this is removed. But you don't want to, and power actually corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And this is what's gone to your head, Minister. The bill and the associated powers, it clearly indicates how the government values our hard-won democracy, especially in this 100th anniversary of our freedom fighters and the people who paid the ultimate sacrifice. You know, how you value our hard-won democracy. The extension of these powers do nothing to enhance our democracy. Rather, they're an attack on our democratic values and freedoms. But power, as I said, is addictive. And what if one of the legacies of this pandemic turns out to be a profound economic hardship, sparking, you know, unease, and other deputies have referred to it, where most of the fines were given out were in poorer areas. Might future politicians be tempted to use such similar powers? I think they would. You have the patent now designed, and it's a very dangerous patent. In a crisis of the kind where so much is unknown, you may well need strong government, and we all backed you at the start, Minister, and you were in opposition that time, and we all were frightened. But when we saw the reality, and we woke up to what was really going on, we said no. And you have stopped. Your Taoiseach and you haven't briefed the opposition leaders since last October. Just expected, you got so punch drunk with the powers, you thought we just walk in here and nod and wink, and away you go. You haven't had the respect for the opposition leaders or any members of this House to engage with them, to talk to them, or whatever. We've supported, as I said, drastic action, to prevent our health service from being overrun, but it's been overrun with nearly 20 years, and there wasn't a word about it. And I do salute the frontline workers and everyone what they tried to do in the past 15 months. But we think we will look back on this period as an inspiring time where citizens have made huge sacrifices for each other, and one which also set some warning precedents by our government, supposed to be democratic. Health services, I mean, the serious impact and the lack of diagnosis and delayed diagnosis for cancer patients and the mental health and many, many other areas. And the figures are there, but you won't release them. By using propaganda, your government, Minister, have to some extent been able to create its own public opinion, and that's quite fact. That's a fact. And that's a shocking way to treat people, with fear being deliberately stoked up by government and national broadcasters and you name it, whoever joined the gang. The Irish public has not even begun to understand the seriousness, I think, of what you have done. But look, they're all educated and they make up their own mind. The government has discovered that, the power of public fear, and we've let you get away with it. Since the onset of the COVID, we have seen a loss of effective parliamentary scrutiny of emergency COVID powers, as many are made via stroke of the pen statutory instruments. And you stood up here and told us that you had read the regulations the night before, and you told us point blank that no priest or no cleric of any order could be arrested, not alone fined or imprisoned. And that, but your barrister's legal team told the courts below that was the situation. And we saw Father P.J. Hughes, brave man, 6 Gardaí in his presbytery and his church on Sunday morning. I mean, have you any respect for the House that you won't correct the record and say that you were wrong with that? You're not wrong on that, you're really infallible. God, the Pope was only trotting after you. Cumulatively, these emergency measures are the most significant interference with personal freedom since independence of this country, and I believe that 100%. As I said, we look back on the measures taken to contain and monumental collective hysteria and government, stupidity. monumental. It'll be, we look back on it, that's what it'll be. Governments hold power in Ireland on the sufferance and of the elected chamber of the legislature. With it, we are called a democracy. So without it, we're not a democracy. And the present government has given state authorities in the last year to last 14 months to enforce public, measures. And I could read them out. I understand that lots of other people want to talk. But, Minister, this is a step way too far. As I said, we were supposed to come back on the 9th of June and debate a sunset clause, and that's what we expected to come. Instead of that, we have 4 pieces of legislation in this kind of a omnibus bill, and just fired in there together with no accountability, no pre-legislative scrutiny, and above all, no debate here. You come in here yesterday and decided to guillotine in it, and that's what you've done. All stages taken in 2.5 hours, and final stages and vote, and off you go. You just need a rain check, Minister, and you haven't got it. And I'm alarmed even this evening, and I'd have no truck for any protester anywhere that's aggressive or violent or cause damage or cause intimidation or fear. None. And I have to say, in fairness to Minister Butler too, she's getting unduly harassed over a decision that I reject totally, a closure of a hospital in Carrick-on-Shore, but there's no place for an elected person to be intimidated. But now here's Sinn Féin this evening saying that the protests were dangerous, and Sinn Féin TD, one TD. I'm shocked. They've really gone full circle now, and we're really in a strange place when we would think of the recent history with the water protests and everything else. But, Minister, you're not going to take any amendment, it's quite clear. I want to thank Brian O'Donnell and our own team for putting in our amendments. We have many of them in there. They won't even be reached or debated, and by condensing the whole debate into 2.5 hours, that was your abject desire to just crush debate, crush democracy, stymie any debate or any, and you wouldn't answer the question then we arrest, would you take any amendment? You have no notion of taking any, because this power, as I said, has gone a little bit dangerous to you, and your accountability to us, to the House here, won't meet us, won't do anything else. And I'm saying that we are fully opposed, and we've called votes, and we'll be calling a vote at the end. And I suppose it'll be passed, but it's interesting to see the backbenchers saying one thing to their people and coming in here and doing the opposite. But the genie's out of the bottle. The people have found out, and they've seen the trickery that's going on, and the whole damage to our democratic society. I won't say much more, Minister, because because I get no answers. I've got no answer from questions. I've stood here week in and week out asking you questions, never got the dignity of one written answer from you, Minister. You think you're above the people of this House, you're above the people of the country, with your nice plush area in Greystones, with your nice big fence around it to keep you safe.
We'll avoid personal.
Yeah, but it's shocking. I mean, I've asked you, Les Concola, and the Concola, I've asked, and the Whip Deputy Chambers, and everybody else to get answers, which are entitled to get, can't get them. So that is a very dangerous place to go in a democracy, and we've gone there, and I'm fully opposed to this. I won't take any more time than anybody else.